What's up guys, today we have Glenn on the show. Glenn is brand new and makes a ton of mistakes that you can learn from. I beat him up a little bit in the first half, but in the second half I let him work the offense. That way you can see his defensive and offensive mistakes. Glenn doesn't have control of me with his grips. He has no weight on me to control me either. I can easily move around and posture up. He should be keeping my back on the mat. Instead he leans back, which makes for an easy hip bump sweep. Jiu-Jitsu is really about controlling your opponent without them controlling you. He wasn't controlling me at all. Next time you're in top position, think to yourself, are my grips and weight distribution controlling my opponent, or can they move freely? A grip on the collar is generally used to pull downwards and break posture. It's doing nothing useful for Glenn. When I say Jiu-Jitsu is a grip battle, I mean it. Not only could he have used his right hand elsewhere to escape, but it also leads to him getting submitted. He lets it out there for the attack. For a tight Americana, you want to bring your elbow to the ear and slide the hand back closer and closer to the feet as you lift the elbow. And turning your wrist to the outside makes it even tighter. I finally have my rash guards for sale online. Check out the link in the description, and if you get one, make sure to tag me on Instagram with you wearing it. That would make my day. Glenn is leaning back again, making it easy for me just to grab his leg and stand up. Easy 2 points for me. I control Glenn by keeping his back on the mat with one hand and controlling his leg with the other. A quick X pass gets the job done, and now I'm just riding Glenn with my shin to see what he'll give me. Where Glenn goes wrong with his bump and shrimp is that he raises his arms up first. He should have kept his elbows to his body so he could frame with them to keep my weight off him as he shrimps. There is nothing stopping me from dropping my weight right back down. To mount Glenn, I push his legs together first so he can't catch me in the half guard. This is such a common mistake beginners make. They try to rush the mount with no plan in place to prevent their opponent from catching their leg and regarding. If that collar grip again leads to his demise, his hand should be down by my hips. Reaching up like this is armbar city. I could have fallen back for the armbar, but instead go belly down with my shin over his head. Nothing is stopping Glenn from rolling onto his back, but it wouldn't make a difference anyways. That style of armbar, you should go shin over the head instead of leg in front of the face, as it's a lot harder for your opponent to defend. Glenn is leaning back and not controlling me again. I go for the same type of attack, but we end up in this knee wrestling position, so I sit back into my guard. Knee wrestling is pointless. When you start your rolls, start standing or with one person in guard and the other one passing. Don't knee wrestle. I pull out Glenn's post from underneath him, and now it's an easy butterfly sweep. Sweeping directly into mount is great because you get your mount points too if you hold it for at least 3 seconds. Glenn should have his elbows glued to his body like a T-Rex. Leaving them out like this is a gift to me. He squirms for a bit, but eventually his hand gets caught on my chest, and lucky me, I get to wrist lock a white belt. The most important thing in a wrist lock is to control the elbow. If the elbow can move, then they can escape. Look how proud I am of myself after hitting that dirty wrist lock. I'm just kidding. I think the wrist locks being dirty or prison rules is a bit overblown. Although I did have someone once throw one on me as fast as they could, right off the slap and bump when I casually grabbed their collar. My wrist was messed up for weeks. Don't be like that guy. Apply every submission with control and care. It's really important to me to use my platform to not just teach jiu-jitsu, but also how to be safe and how to be a good training partner. Glenn is letting me move freely again, so I do what's basically a cross between a butterfly sweep and a scissor sweep. As I come up, Glenn would be wise to get some sort of half guard or quarter guard on me. Although he does do a good job of bumping, he doesn't shrimp. Bumping takes your opponent's weight off you, and shrimping is what makes space to regard. He does somewhat regard though, so I hit my side smash to backstep, making sure I grab the leg with my hand so he can't follow me with his butterfly hook. As I come up to mount, you can see Glenn has his arms up in the air, looking nothing like a T-Rex, only to be armbarred as a result. When going for an armbar from mount, you have 2 options. Swing the leg over the head before you fall back, or grab the leg and fall back. Both do the same thing. They prevent your opponent from coming up on top. Alright, now let's look at Glenn's offensive mistakes. I'm going to let him get good position on me so that I can counter. To retain my guard, I want to keep my bottom knee and shin between us. If I was actually trying, I'd want to put my left foot on the mat and get onto my side so I can shrimp out a bit more and make space. I let him pass, and now I'm just patient. Glenn didn't set up a real mount entry, and I counter his sloppy attempt by keeping my elbow and knee glued together, as that's the space he would need for his right knee to enter to mount me. Glenn is grabbing my head with the wrong arm, and his weight is too far over my center line. By grabbing his arm, I block his post, and now it's an easy sweep. Glenn should have tried to maintain a half guard as I swept him, but his legs were too loose. Anytime I sweep, I try to pass the guard in the process if I can. Generally, the best time to hit any attack is in the transition. You're going to see the most classic white belt mistake there is, reaching your arm out. I hit the near side armbar and Glenn taps right away. It wasn't the prettiest armbar as I don't like to have both knees on the inside, but I knew I wouldn't lose it if I had his leg controlled with my arm. Controlling a leg prevents them from coming up, just like the leg over the head does. You always need to have one or the other when you fall back for arm bars. Watch my left arm, look how I shoot my elbow deeper as I circle my hand around. That's how you take underhooks, not by leading with your hand. I use my underhook to get to my knees and then I finish with the knee tap. Safety is number one, and I can't see exactly how Glenn's legs are positioned. I don't want to drive into him if his foot is sticking outwards and collapse him over his knee, resulting in injury. So I stay patient, and once I see his shin is tucked, then I progress forward. As I mount Glenn, he has his elbows separated from his body and again holding onto my collar, which gives me the armbar, because as I move my body, his arm moves with me and away from his body because he has himself attached to me. Definitely the easiest submission to get on beginners is arm bars because they reach up so often. I guess it's just instinct, but jiu-jitsu is all about training the instinct out of you. If instinct worked, you wouldn't have to learn jiu-jitsu. Let me know in the comment section what submission that you get caught in the most. I'm super interested in hearing that. I let Glenn pass my guard again and keep my bottom knee in. Look how I shrimp out a little bit just so I can get onto my side. Now I can work towards getting closed guard. But because Glenn's arm is so committed to my head like before, he can't stop the sweep as I block his arm from posting out. Now I'm going to transition into the Americana, and notice this time I don't twist his wrist outwards. There's a difference between what's optimal and what's fastest. As you're learning, try to focus on what's optimal. As you get more skilled, you can get away with being lazy. Just in general, as a beginner, focus on doing things right instead of being fast. You'll progress a lot faster. I'm gonna let Glenn take my back and watch how I bump him forward by raising my butt. Now Glenn is too high on my back, but he doesn't adjust. I could tripod by bringing my butt even higher to have him fall forward, but that's easier in no-gi, especially when it's sweaty. I go for a different escape by grabbing his head and keeping it in place. I'm careful not to crank his neck or cause him pain. Then I work towards clearing the hooks and getting to my knees. You can only do this escape when you're on their overside, which is the side that their arm is over your shoulder, not under your armpit. For Glenn to keep his arm safe, he should keep his hand in front of my left shoulder with his elbow tight, but instead grabs my lapel on the right side. This gives me access to his arm and the Kimura. He straightens his arm to defend, so I counter with a straight arm lock, pushing his hand down with my forearm directly underneath his elbow. I want to say a big thank you to all my patrons who support the channel. You guys are awesome. Thank you for sticking around until the end of the video. If you're still here, please leave a comment or a fist bump, and I'll see you guys next time.